For hundreds of years, unsolved mysteries have haunted the open seas. Ships found abandoned and adrift in the middle of nowhere, spectral visions floating above the horizon, and a whole heap of ghosts. But what does it all mean? Hello and welcome to the Hoke Poke Pod, the show where we explore the strange and unusual.
Really? We're just two idiots poking stuff we don't understand.
So join us as we dare to ask the questions that nobody once answered, such as, was King Henry V the real-life Jack Sparrow?
Is the Strait of Malacca just another Bermuda Triangle?
And are ghost ships just ships full of ghosts? Ghosts of ships? Or ships made by ghosts? I'm Erica.
And I'm Emily.
And be careful of this episode, because here there be monsters.
Arr. This is not about pirates,
It's
like
not
at
about
all.
pirates at all. I mean, no, not at all.
No. So I guess how we wanted to approach this was that what the heck are ghost ships?
Yeah, because
Are they real ships? Are they fake ships?
The answer is both.
Yeah.
There's kind of multiple definitions of ghost ships.
Mhm.
There are ships that have been abandoned, and that's kind of led to a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost ships as in there's no one there, it's empty.
Mm.
And there are legitimate ghost ships that are sort of spectral visions of ships, and the ships themselves don't exist at all.
I find it hard to wrap my head around that a ship could be like a ghost because it doesn't really have an energy. Like pieces of wood that put together a ship are not living things. I find that hard to believe, but I guess that's something we're going to explore.
Yeah, and I actually hadn't thought about that before. I was like, yeah, ghost people, ghost cats, ghost ships, of course. But now that you've said that to me, I'm like,
A chair's ghost? Can there be chair ghosts?
Oh, well, I mean, okay, I guess if you think of it less as a ghost and more of a vision, like an apparition, do you believe in apparition?
That's a good point. I don't know.
We're getting early today with this episode.
Oh, I'm squeamish.
But yeah, I think the most common description of a ghost ship is, in fact, one of these ships that has been abandoned, and the whereabouts of the crew is a mystery. And this is really common. There's hundreds and hundreds of cases throughout history of people coming across ships that they have no idea where their occupants have gone.
I feel like a lot of these stories are from very I saw this phrase that I love, maritime folklore, which is very 1700s to early 1900s. I feel
That's
everything
gorgeous.
I
Maritime
saw.
folklore, I'm so into that.
I love it. It's just
Yeah.
a time of legends and
I think there's something inherently spooky about the ocean too. That's something that conjures up a lot of imagery of sort of mystery and terror. But very famously, probably if you have heard of a ghost ship, it's going to be the Mary Celeste, which was a ship that was found in 1872 in the Atlantic Ocean that was abandoned. And I think another ship came across it, and it was completely empty. There was one lifeboat missing. But all the food, all the supplies, all the emergency equipment that you would take with you, theoretically, if you were abandoning ship, remained on board.
wow.
And no one ever really figured out what happened. The log stopped being written at about 5 a.m., I think, the night before they presumed everyone went missing. But if they had abandoned ship, why wouldn't you take your stuff with you? Why would you abandon ship when there was nothing wrong with the ship? It was a little bit damaged, but it wasn't completely still floatable and sailable.
Yeah.
And to this day, it's one of those mysteries. The Mary Celeste, kind of the original ghost ship.
Yeah.
Not the first case of it, but kind of the main case that we think of.
Wow. Did they think they all jumped overboard at the same time, or that they got abducted by aliens? I don't.
Well, there's more extreme beliefs, like they were taken by sirens and they were
Sirens.
like mermaids that sing pirates.
No,
and
I don't
sailors
know
to their
about
death. You don't know about
this.
sirens?
No.
Oh, sirens are one of my favorite ocean myths, I guess. Yeah, they're kind of they take the form of beautiful women and they sing songs that are so enchanting that they lure sailors down into the waters and then drown them.
Was that in Harry Potter? No. Was it? No.
I feel like there were mermaids in Harry Potter. There was some creepy ocean
There was a
thing.
lot of stuff in that.
Sirens and mermaids are often interchangeable. but then the Mary Celeste is kind of our first idea of the ghost ship. But as well as this, I guess a lot of mysterious happenings on ships in which people have vanished or no one knows what's happened do get defined as ghost ships.
Or they're all found and the cause of their death is extremely mysterious and no one knows what happened.
Oh, I love that.
And so this story is my favorite by far. So this is the case of the SS Orang Medan. Which the exact date is not clear. They say it's in the 1940s, between 1947 to 1948. Kind of varies source to source. But this one is kind of really asks, is the answer to this too terrifying to accept?
I'm so intrigued.
Basically, what happened was a Dutch vessel was passing through the Strait of Malacca, which is a narrow stretch of water that connects the Pacific Ocean to the east with the Indian Ocean to the west. So it sits between Malaysia and Indonesia.
Yep.
And so this Dutch vessel was going through that strait and some nearby ships received an emergency distress call from this boat. On the call, they said, all officers, including captain, dead, lying in chart room and on bridge, possibly whole crew dead.
What?
Then there was an unintelligible frenzy of Morse code that no one could decode. And then the radio operator that was calling through just said, I die. And there was no further transmission than that. So this is where it gets really, like, this story gets so meaty, literally. What happened next? So the nearby ships, they sent out American rescuers. So they boarded the vessel and they found the ship just as described. All the crew was indeed dead. Their bodies were strewn across the deck upstairs. Jesus. Apparently it was written that it was like a scene from a horror film. None of them had any visible injuries.
What?
And so the weirdest part of this is that they were found, and I quote, teeth bared with their upturned faces to the sun, staring as if in fear of something. Even the ship's dog was dead, frozen in this state, mid-growl at some kind of unknown horror. I know. So their faces were twisted in terror. And apparently their arms were like locked as if they were fighting off something. All of them, literally all the crew were in the same like fight position.
The whole crew.
And their arms were like locked. I can't remember what it's called, but when you die, like if your muscles are like tense, it stays like that.
Rigor mortis.
Rigor mortis, yeah. So their arms were stuck in rigor mortis. Their bodies had begun to decay abnormally fast. Like their bodies had already begun to decay and it was within like hours.
What?
Makes no sense. So the bridge officer bodies were found down in the ship. Clearly they were like attempting to barricade themselves in the wheelhouse from something, still in the same position, like as the crew upstairs.
Yeah.
And also the engineering crew below the deck, this is like underneath, near like the boiler room, were found with the same look as those above.
Oh my God.
So like...
Do you know how many were on board?
Well, they didn't have a number because this is what happened next. As these rescuers went on, so they put the tow lines on to tow the ship back to shore. Shortly after they secured the lines on, they saw a bunch of smoke coming from the ship, and fire followed from below the ship. So they all like, jumped off and raced back to the other ship, cut the tow lines. And just as they did that, the ship exploded with such a force that it lifted out of the ocean and then sank.
Is this real?
It's
this
real.
Is crazy.
So it is really, it's real. So they have like a few documentations of this. One of them is a German publication from 1953. It also went through Dutch newspapers. That's why the year is not clear, because it was talked about in Dutch newspapers for a few years.
Yeah, naturally. My God, you'd never stop talking about it.
I know. So this German publication proves that it was real and the story itself is real, and it holds a lot of the details that they use. But also, very mysteriously, in 1959, there was this letter that they found. It's only recently been declassified by the CIA to an unknown person, which explains the events. And this person has written, I feel sure that the SS Orang Medan tragedy holds the answer to many of these airplane accidents and unsolved mysteries of the sea. This is like a huge like mystery
And they're just
case.
like, I've cracked the Bermuda Triangle.
I've cracked it, yep. And it does beg the question, why was the CIA concerned about a ghost ship story? Like they really tried to like cover this up and
so the letter that this mysterious person sent contained these details.
Yes. Apparently there were sightings of huge fiery spheres rising from or disappearing into the sea by ship captains and crews. There were multiple accounts like over time.
What? In the same area?
I think so, yeah.
Shit. This is...
What is that? Like, so the ship itself, the weird things about this, and also could lend to the explanation of what happened. So the ship itself had no apparent signs of damage or disaster. So it's like, what the heck happened? What scared them so much? The boiler room was still operating, even though it was 54 degrees down there, apparently. So how did they get cold? Like, why were they chilly? And officially, the ship may never have existed. It wasn't on any registers. So they think potentially it was carrying some like, what was it? Like, well, actually, classified items, potentially like gases,
nuclear stuff. It's the 50s, man. It's always fucking radiation, isn't it?
They apparently potassium cyanide and nitroglycerin were stored in the ship's hold, so it could explain the
explosion. That 100%
destruction
would make sense. Yeah.
But it still doesn't really answer how did they die. So one of the theories is like gas, like a gas leak.
That made them all mass hallucinate. Yeah, for sure.
Because apparently there were like around the time of World War II, there were a lot of biological experiments happening. So they think maybe it was a ship carrying like some Japanese like experiments through the strait. They don't really, that's like just a bit of a theory. And maybe there was a gas leak and they all somehow thought they were, maybe they hallucinated and thought they were mass hallucination. But the dog?
The dog. Does a dog hallucinate the same as a person? Like, okay, I'm so frustrated because never in my life, like, have I wanted the evidence of something so badly and it got blown up and sunk to the bottom of the sea. Like, that's, whoa. I'm so mad at whatever, like, nitrogen potassium combination they were carrying to make it explode. I
know. And there's theories from were they attacked by ghosts, which that one's hard I find that hard to comprehend that a whole bunch of ghosts came on the ship somehow to attack all the crew. But it does make me think the fact that it exploded after, if this is something from the unknown, it does make me think it was something they were not supposed to see. Like,
it's terrifying either way. Imagine receiving that distress call and that message, like they're all dead, I am dead, and then fuck.
Yeah, I die.
And
that's it. Like, who says that on a call? That's so odd.
That is not a way to end your calls.
So, yeah, look, mass hallucination could be
that seems to me the most plausible. I actually do have a potential supernatural explanation for you.
Yes, please.
And this is, like we said, there's lots of different types of ghost ships, but one of them are actual ghost ships. And the kind of origin, mother of all phantom sightings of ships on the ocean is the Flying Dutchman, which everyone's seen Pirates of the Caribbean, is the Pirates of the Caribbean ship, the Flying Dutchman.
Is that the Black Pearl?
No, so the Black Pearl is just like a really nice ship. The Flying Dutchman is...
yep. Tentacle face.
The tentacle face.
Gotcha.
The sort of ship that traverses between life and death and collects the souls and stuff, which I never really looked into if that was a real legend. Maybe I should have, because I think this might have solved your boys on the boat.
Oh my God, tell me.
So the Flying Dutchman, there's a lot of different a few different origin stories, but the most common one is that it was this ship in 1641, captained by a Hendrik van der Decken, who was a Dutch captain. Essentially, it was a British ship which was sailing around the Cape of Good Hope, which is a cape in South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
With the East India Trading Company sort of route from the Netherlands to Indonesia. And essentially, they were going through a storm, incredibly dangerous. It was an incredibly dangerous cape to cross, a lot of shipwrecks. And the storm was really, really fierce, and everyone said, no, we have to make port somewhere or head out of the storm. And this captain refused to, and he pushed through and made the ship push through, and he said I will sail the ship until the end of days, until the apocalypse, if I must. And
Wow,
essentially
it's dramatic.
yeah, cursed the ship is how the legend goes. And the ship was cursed to sail until the end of days, never making port.
Wow.
And that was the legend of the Flying Dutchman. Now,
rough ride.
Very rough ride. And that kind of originated in the late 18th century, the legend. But there have been a few sightings of it that give it a little bit of not legitimacy, just a little bit of something. Essentially, the most famous sighting of it, and one of the earliest ones, was in 1881. King George V sighted the Flying Dutchman.
Wow.
Before he was the king, he was on a vessel, and they were sailing around Australia, actually, around the Bass Strait, on the HMS Bacamti, and a few different crew, there was about 5 or 6 of them, spotted what they thought was the Flying Dutchman. And this is quote from King Henry V, that a strange red light as of a phantom ship all aglow, in the midst of which light the masts, spars, and sails of a brig 200 yards distant. The officer of the watch from the bridge clearly saw her, as did the quarterdeck midshipman, who was sent forward once to the forecastle. But on arriving, there was no vestige nor any sign whatever of any material ship was to be seen, either near or on the horizon, the night being clear and the sea calm.
What? So what did they see then? They can't all have just made that up. Like,
a bunch of people saw the ship, and this is the thing with the Flying Dutchman legend. Once you see it, it's a bad omen. Once you see it, it means you're going to enter a storm, your ship may sink, or somebody who sighted the Dutchman is going to come to harm. And the very next day, the very first person to sight the Dutchman was the person on the crow's nest. Actually fell off the crow's nest and died.
That's a hell of a coincidence, or it was an omen.
And this is the thing, like, this was King Henry V. I mean, I don't know, I can't speak to his mental state, but he was a pretty influential guy.
Yeah. He was king for a reason. Oh, wait, no, monarchy.
And for him to say, hey, I saw the Flying Dutchman and it killed one of our crew members is a pretty big statement. But since then, there's been a lot of sightings. There was one in 1835 when another ship nearly collided with it, kind of a wave crested, and all of a sudden there was this ship full mast heading straight for them, and then it was gone. And these people in the ship thought they were going to crash into it, so everyone must have seen it and panicked and been pretty alarmed, and then it vanished.
Oh, actually, no, that is a thing. We were talking about apparitions, like phantom apparitions of things are a thing, actually. I just remembered I have read something about that. Like, if you believe in that, it can be an actual thing. That's very interesting.
There have been more modern sightings as well. So in 1939, at this beach in Cape Town, a bunch of people on the beach spotted a ship sailing straight towards them, full sail, and then it vanished.
Like, they blinked and it was gone, or did it just like fade out like a movie?
No, it was just gone. One second it was there, the next it wasn't.
That's so fascinating and weird.
And now another weird reference. Now this one, I tried to look into the sources, and it all kind of comes from this book. It's been cited a lot. There's a quote. I can't speak to how legitimate the claim is. I just found it startling. But in World War II, a German submarine spotted the Dutchman as well. And the person who actually spotted it was Karl Dönitz, who ended up, he was an admiral of the ship, and he ends up taking over Germany when Hitler dies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a very significant historical figure. And him and his crew apparently spotted a phantom ship. Wow. And according to this book, the quote is, "The men said that they preferred the strength of the Allied fleet in the North Atlantic to the terror of a second meeting with the Phantom."
Wow. So it's like this ship that literally just comes towards you and then disappears. So its aim is to like scare you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. And with that, the German submarine, they didn't come to foul play. So whether it did curse them or didn't curse them, but the fact that supposedly there have been all these sightings of a phantom ship. I mean, I say that not believing it.
I mean, Yeah, because I'm like, well, is a possible explanation that they've been at sea a really long time, they've got scurvy and they're like starting to hallucinate. But if you say that these people on the beach saw it.
Yes. And I would say, look, in the 1800s, yes, probably everyone had scurvy. But I feel like by the time we're in the 1950s, like I feel like people are pretty well fed.
That's so interesting. I didn't know this.
So maybe
another thing I didn't know. Wow.
They saw the Flying Dutchman, your boys on this ship.
It's possible that they did.
That's related to them dying.
Wow, this whole, like, the whole theory about that it was this guy that was like, I'm just going to keep sailing this ship through this storm, accidentally curses it. And then
Very easy way to get cursed. And his whole crew too. Rough deal for them.
Do you know what, though? If I was cursed to captain a ship for the rest of time, I also would just start to scare people on purpose because it's fun.
What else are you going to do? You can't make it to shore. You know?
Maybe they're coming towards the ship because they're trying to get help and then they just disappear. It sounds like they're stuck in a dimension or something.
There's another part to this legend where they said that occasionally if you saw the Flying Dutchman, it would approach your ship. People would come aboard from the Dutchman and ask you to carry letters to shore to give to their loved ones on shore.
Oh, my God.
Because they weren't able to go to shore themselves. But if you accepted the letters, your ship was doomed to be sunk and join them.
Oh, I love this. I've got goosebumps now.
Yeah, which is such a tragic ghost story.
That is... I don't have words for that.
So maybe in these cases they all are looking for help.
Do the people who, well, the ghosts, let's say, that are giving them letters, do they know that they're going to like eternally curse these people's boats, or are they genuinely?
Surely not. I don't, like, they were just sailors. Like, they weren't necessarily bad people. Maybe a little foolhardy.
Sailors can have agendas too, Erica. You don't know. They could be evil.
I like this. I prefer them being tragic, I think. I don't know. There's so many evil ghost stories out there. Like, we deal with evil shit on this podcast every time. I like a nice, tragic, sad story rather than evil for once. Except whatever attacks those boys on your boat, which I've forgotten the name of, which is why I'm calling it the
SS
boat.
Orang Medan. Yeah.
That one. That was not nice. They were all spooked.
Yeah, because I like the idea that they'd seen the Flying Dutchman. That you think maybe they had. But also, I guess the whole thing with the hallucinative gas makes sense. But also, they were all staring at the sun. Maybe they were all on psychedelics.
Yeah, I have the choice. Or there was a leak in what they were carrying. It's a scary... come on. Why did they lose the boat? Like, haven't we sent... guys down there to go to the wreckage and dig it up.
But
come on,
you and I know how deep the ocean is.
We do know how deep the ocean is. That's true.
And what, this was 1940s, so they didn't have the technology that we do now.
True.
Maybe they don't know the location of where it is.
We found the Titanic. Surely we can find this boat.
That's true.
I guess that's the thing. We don't know the location. I'm pretty sure we were pretty good about the Titanic location.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what freaks me out. I think that's what's scary about the sea too, is that if you get lost at sea, there's a high chance you will just never get found again because humans don't 100%. Live in the sea. Like, that's probably, it's like getting lost in space. Like,
Lost in Space is bad. I mean, okay, not the show, but getting lost in space, like, you don't have, because you're so reliant on technology. So that's it, pretty much done.
Oh my God, I can't think about it. It freaks me out too much.
And that's the thing. They say if you're like in a shipwreck, stuck on an island, you stay on the island.
Just stay on the island.
You do not make a raft. You do not try to sail out at sea because you have like a days before you dehydrate and die.
Yeah.
And the odds of someone finding you floating out there, which is why in all these cases, like the Mary Celeste of crew abandoning ship, it's so mysterious because to abandon ship in the middle of nowhere, not in sight of land, is so risky.
Wow.
And they didn't bring any food with them. They didn't bring any supplies, no personal items either. So why would they abandon ship? And there are hundreds and hundreds of cases of ghost ships like this. And we just don't know what's happened to the crew.
No. There's a couple of other ones actually I wanted to mention that are a bit odd. But they're different scenarios in terms of the term ghost ship, I suppose. So there's one from 1775 that's called the Octavius. And this ship was found, all the crew on board were completely frozen. So they died and were just like preserved because they were frozen. Apparently, they realized it had been floating through the Arctic for 13 years.
13 years?
13 years, and they found the captain at his desk mid-writing a note.
Oh, that's sad.
Like, it is sad, but it's also odd because it's been floating through the Arctic for 13 years.
Oh. Well, that's like there was the Terror, the HMS Terror that went missing. God, I can't remember when. And they knew it went missing in the Arctic because that's where it was sailing to. And then they only discovered it in like the 90s. Like it was there for like 150 something odd years. And even though they knew where it theoretically was, it still took them that long to actually find and refloat this ship.
Wow.
And so also the fact that the sea is so expansive and yes, we have like these shipping channels that are busy, but the idea of being on a crew on a boat and just spotting a ship abandoned in the middle of the ocean, like how many ships do you think are out there abandoned in the middle of the ocean that we haven't found?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, surely now with radar tech, like we'd be better at it.
Yeah, true.
But still, they're like the ocean's huge.
It is really huge. And I think if you're a supernatural force as well, that is such an isolated and like opportunistic place.
Are you feeling sorry for the ghosts or saying it's opportunistic? Oh, for them to attack people.
For them to attack people. It's like opportune. It's like out in the middle of nowhere.
Doesn't the ghost have to go to the ocean?
Well, maybe the supernatural forces are in the ocean or they're
water
out
ghosts.
there. Water ghosts.
Are they the ghosts of like dolphins and stuff?
Can dolphins have ghosts? Would they kill people?
If cats have ghosts, dolphins have ghosts.
Oh, no. Here we go.
And we said cats have ghosts, so dolphins must have ghosts.
Wait, that means that the ocean is full of spirits. Wow.
No, we're going back to this thing where the world is so...
I'm spiraling.
We're spinning back around to episode 1. We talked about how the ether is so full of spirits that it's too much. If everything that dies has a ghost, it's all stuck somewhere. I can't handle that.
No. I feel like I can handle the idea of the spirit realm being in the air and stuff, but in the ocean, I can't handle that. I don't know why.
What's the
don't
difference?
know why.
Is it because it's underwater?
I think so.
And you don't think ghosts should be able to swim?
Can ghosts swim?
I mean, but they just like glide through, right? Like if they're not affected by air or walls or doors, surely a bit of water is not going to hurt them.
Do you think when you die they hand out flippers?
You know what? When I die as a ghost, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the bottom of the ocean. Wait, can ghosts go up into space? Are ghosts bound by gravity? Wait, no, really? If I'm a ghost, can't I just go up?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Well, okay, there is one case, actually.
Of a ghost going to space?
No, we're going to take it back down to the ocean before we lose our cookies.
Okay.
There is this case called the Watertown Ghosts, and basically what happened was 2 crew members from this ship called the SS Watertown, mid-1920s.
Good name for a ship.
It is a great name for a ship. They, unfortunately, something happened and they were asphyxiated by some gases. I don't know. There's a lot of gases on ships.
Is this a common ship thing?
Maybe they just ate some bad burritos. I really don't know.
Man, I can't believe you are injecting a fart joke into these 2 sailors' deaths. I thought better of you, Em.
Did you? Anyway, very, very sad. But what happens next is quite odd, but also quite cool if you're a ghost investigator.
Yeah.
So they were asphyxiated, unfortunately passed away. They were buried at sea, which I feel like buried at sea, isn't that just like they wrap them up and then toss them overboard?
Yep.
Like they're packets of chips. Like I just...
No, I like that. I don't mind it.
Yeah, maybe they do a little ceremony. I don't know.
They do a ceremony and they like, it's nice. It's a funeral.
Okay. Well, they were buried at sea and then later on they were spotted at the stem of the boat from the water. So one of the crew members took a photograph and it's one of like the earliest photographs that kind of proves ghost existence, if you will, because their faces are like above the water at the end of the ship. And it's not really explained. So it's like, did they follow the ship?
Here's a question.
Are they attached to the ship?
Are ghosts bound to the location in which they died?
Yes.
Okay, in that case, if you die on the ocean, on a ship, are you just then stuck in that one little bit of water, or are you stuck on the ship?
I think they died on the boat. So they're probably, but their bodies were tossed. Well, I think actually their ghosts were spotted around the boat and then they were photographed, like their faces were in the water. So I think they're around the boat.
Okay, but like if you died in the house and then the house got like moved to another country, are you in the house, or are you in, is it the area that the house inhabits?
That I have thought about this actually, because what happens when haunted houses get demolished?
Yeah, that's true. I imagine
the spirits probably get released, I would think.
You reckon? I just thought the ghosts would stick around. Like if all it takes to get rid of a ghost is to just knock a few walls down, we'd be getting rid of ghosts left and right, you know?
That's true. I feel like a lot of haunted houses don't get knocked down though, because they're normally like heritage listed.
True. And they're tourist sites as well.
Yeah, they become tourist sites. But with ships...
I mean, ships get demolished and absorbed into new ships, and the parts are repurposed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the legend with a lot of old vessels and vehicles is that cursed cars is a thing that we'll probably get to one episode. And the parts that the cars go into, the new cars, all get cursed. And then it just like spreads and spreads and spreads and spreads.
Oh my God.
Like it's about the physical parts of the vehicle. And I imagine it'd probably be the same for ships.
Oh my goodness. Well, I already know the answer to this, but would you stay on a haunted ship?
Yeah, without a doubt. That's way cooler than a haunted hotel. I think I just like to stay on a ship. Like, I love the idea of sea travel and out of ghosts. I mean, I think all good ships are haunted. You know?
Only the good ones.
All good ships. What's the point of being on an old ship if it's not a little bit haunted by something? So, yeah, without a doubt. No doubt in my mind. You wouldn't. Oh, would you? You can't escape on a boat. That's the thing. If it gets bad, think about this. If it goes wrong, you can't leave.
Yeah, see, that's a gamble with fate because you can't leave.
Can't leave a ghost ship. I mean, again, then again, that's literally what ghost ships are. It's people leaving.
I know.
Leaving the ship. So maybe you can.
It's either they stay there or like, the freakiest thing. I would not stay on a ghost ship willingly unless I was already on the ship and then realized it was haunted. And I'm like, oh no, I can't do anything now. But it's really freaky to think that they're like underwater with all the people still. Although if that boat, the boat that we were talking about, the SS Orang Medan, it exploded. So everything gets destroyed. Even if they find it, although modern technology, they might be able to examine.
That's true.
Like
they're not going to be able to get any corpses back though.
No.
Fuck.
It's all going to be in tatters. What a waste. We'll never know. Well, you can ask at the pearly gates one day. You can ask what happened with the boat.
We need to get a boat, sail it out to the location in which it sunk, Ouija board. The ghost of the ghost will tell us what happened.
Count me out of that trip.
Oh, come on. Wouldn't you love to know? I feel like so many of like mysteries are solved by just like asking the ghosts.
I think you just want to take a rowboat out to the Bermuda Triangle, honestly, and just try your luck with a Ouija board.
A doubt in my mind. What are ghosts? And ghost ships. That's what this episode's been about. Different sorts of ghost ships.
Can you, like, is it one of those things with the Flying Dutchman? Can you, like, will it? Like, can you wish to see it and it will appear?
I didn't read any account of that. No, okay. I feel like it's something that appears to you. Because if the theory holds... if the story holds, the ship is sailing of its own accord. So it's its own independent ship. You just have to kind of run into it, I guess.
Just by fate.
Get lucky or unlucky, whatever way you choose.
Yeah, that is kind of unlucky. That's... now I'm like worried to go out on a boat or do anything. I'm like, I don't know. How do you know if it's the Flying Dutchman? Like, how do you know if it's a normal boat?
You mean, how do you know if it's the Flying Dutchman or a regular disappearing boat?
Yep. Do you not see them?
I feel like if you see a ship and then it disappears and it's an old-timey ship on the ocean coming right at you and then it vanishes, I feel like that's a pretty safe bet. Hey, I've seen the Flying Dutchman. I don't think you need to worry about other ships.
I want to know if there's been accounts within like the last 5-10 years.
See, that's the thing. That's what's a little bit suspicious about all of these. I mean, with I was going to say a lot of ghost and supernatural things, accounts kind of dramatically drop off as soon as we have portable cameras. Like as soon as we enter this like technological sort of 21st century, I don't think anyone's really seeing ghost ships anymore. which is I mean there are a lot of natural phenomena that could cause potential ghost ship sightings. I mean, there's that old mirage effect. If you just go to the beach, you can see it.
Yeah.
If there's ships far on the horizon, it looks like they're hovering slightly above the waterline.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that probably is the reason that a lot of people have reported ghost ship sightings when it's just been mirage. There's another effect where apparently if the atmosphere conditions are just right, the reflection of a ship can be projected onto the sky. So it looks like there's an upside-down ship kind of floating in the sky.
Wow.
And a lot of people reported that, and that kind of got written down as ghost ship sightings or Flying Dutchman sightings when we kind of have a answer for it.
But if they're Flying Dutchman sightings, it has to be an old-timey ship with huge sails and stuff.
Once again, a lot of these sightings are old-timey sightings.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got you.
Because they kind of drop off. Although we do have those kind of couple from the early 1900s.
Want some from the 21st century,
I
man.
know. I doubt it. But hey, if you see the Flying Dutchman, let us know. Shoot us a message.
Yes.
Yeah. I also probably tell people, like, the news or something. I just feel like that someone would want to know
Maybe
about
do that first.
Do that first and then send it to us.
Let us know if you're cursed. But we also don't want to know about it because we don't want to be cursed.
No, I want to know about it.
All right. Tell Erica, not me. Address the email to Erica. Thank you. Thank you. All right. This has been the Hoke Poke Pod. I'm Emily.
And I'm Erica.
We'll see you next time.
Hi, you've reached the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and if you like what you've heard, it would be fantastic if you could rate us or leave a review.
Or better yet, show us to some of your friends. Get the word out there about this spooky little podcast.
If you want to know more about us or this episode, you can visit our website, thehokepokepod.com.au.
We post updates, links, episodes, and any references we've mentioned, you'll be able to find them right there.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to Giano Timble for the amazing graphics and art that he's made for the podcast, as well as our undying appreciation to Robert P. Kelly, our marvelous and ever-patient editor.
We love you, Rob.
And finally, if you'd like to contact us, you can send us an email at hokepokepod@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you.
Feedback, episode suggestions, whatever takes your fancy, we will be there.
Thank you so much for the support, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye!
Bye!